There's one thing nobody really tells you about retirement. You can prepare financially and still feel emotionally unprepared. Because retirement is not only about stopping work. It's about waking up one morning and realizing your entire rhythm of life has changed. And honestly, that change can feel much heavier than people expect. Today, I just want to share a few things I truly wish someone had told me before I retired. Not advice, just honest thoughts. From one human being to another. Part 1. The first few months don't feel the way you expect at first. Retirement felt peaceful. Sleeping longer. Slow mornings, no pressure. I remember thinking, this is what I worked my whole life for. But after a while, something strange happened. The days started blending together. Monday felt like Thursday. Afternoons felt longer. The house felt quieter than I imagined. And I started feeling guilty for not feeling happier. That surprised me, because I thought freedom alone would automatically create peace. But human beings are not built only for rest. We also need rhythm, meaning, connection, something that gently pulls us forward. I wish someone had told me that retirement can feel emotionally disorienting at first. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because your mind and heart need time to catch up with this new life. Part 2. You may miss who you used to be. One thing I didn't expect was how much I would miss the version of myself that existed during my working years. Not the stress, not the deadlines, but the feeling of being needed. For decades, people depended on us. Co-workers, family, schedules, responsibilities. And then one day, that constant need disappears almost overnight. I remember sitting quietly at my kitchen table one morning thinking, so, who am I now? That question stayed with me for a long time. Because retirement quietly forces you to rebuild identity without titles, routines, or productivity. And honestly, that process can feel lonely. I wish someone had told me that it's okay to grieve old versions of yourself, even when life is moving into a better chapter. Part 3. The quiet can bring up emotions you didn't expect. Retirement slows life down enough for you to hear your thoughts more clearly, and sometimes that can be uncomfortable. Memories come back, regrets surface, loneliness becomes more noticeable. I think many people stay busy their entire lives, partly because silence feels unfamiliar. But retirement creates space, and in that space, you finally meet emotions you may have ignored for years. At first, I tried to avoid that feeling. I kept distracting myself. Television, cleaning, scrolling my phone, anything to avoid sitting still too long. But eventually, I realized something important. The quiet itself was not hurting me. I was simply learning how to live differently. And over time, the same silence that once felt lonely started feeling peaceful instead. Part 4. Your value does not end after retirement. I truly wish someone had told me this earlier. Your worth is not connected to how busy you are. But many of us were raised to believe otherwise. We learn to measure value through work, achievement, responsibility, sacrifice. So when retirement arrives, it can quietly feel like part of your identity disappears, especially during slow days. But slowly, I began realizing something. There is dignity in peaceful living too. There is value in simply being present, in becoming calmer, kinder, more emotionally available. Retirement taught me something I never fully understood before. A meaningful life is not only built through accomplishment. Sometimes it's built through presence. Part 5. Happiness becomes quieter. Another thing nobody told me? Happiness after retirement becomes much quieter. When we're younger, happiness often feels connected to excitement. Big plans, big goals, big moments. But later in life, joy becomes softer. Morning coffee, warm sunlight through curtains, a quiet walk, talking to someone you love, hearing birds outside the window. Tiny things suddenly matter deeply. And honestly, I think retirement helped me finally slow down enough to notice life properly. For years, I rushed through ordinary moments without really living inside them. Now, those moments often feel like the most meaningful part of my day. Part 6. You still need connection. One of the biggest mistakes I made early in retirement was isolating myself emotionally. Not intentionally. It just happened slowly. The less I worked, the smaller my world quietly became. And I learned something important. Human beings still need connection at every age, even quiet connection. A conversation with a neighbor, calling a friend, sitting beside someone without rushing. Those small moments matter more than we realize. Retirement can become lonely very quickly if we disappear too much into ourselves. And honestly, some of the happiest older people I've met are not the busiest ones. They are the ones who stay connected to life around them. My personal reflection. A few weeks ago, I was sitting outside very early in the morning. The neighborhood was completely quiet, just soft wind moving through the trees and sunlight slowly touching the houses. I remember holding my coffee and suddenly realizing something. For most of my life, I was always rushing toward the next thing, the next responsibility, the next goal, the next stage of life. And now, for the first time in decades, there was nowhere I needed to be. At first, that feeling scared me, but lately, I think I'm beginning to understand it differently. Maybe retirement is not about starting over. Maybe it's about finally learning how to live without constantly running, more slowly, more honestly, more gently. And I think that's what I wish someone had told me earlier. Not every meaningful life needs to be loud. Sometimes peace itself becomes the meaning. Thank you for spending this quiet moment with me today. And wherever you are in life right now, I hope you allow yourself to slow down a little too. Until next time, take care of yourself.